Be a little thick, it don't matter. Be your own kind of beautiful. Keep your head up, it don't matter. Don't be discouraged, it don't matter. Let the world know that it don't matter. Be your own kind of beautiful. Curvy is so beautiful, plus size is so wonderful. Being thick has benefits, I'm not your ordinary cheek. I've got a lot of love to share with little short and nappy hair. Taking time to let you know I'm my own kind of beautiful. So thick hips and sexy girl, don't you be ashamed. No, 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 no. You're so beautiful. If you're plus size, it don't matter. If you got curves, it don't matter. Maybe a little thick, it don't matter. Be your own kind of beautiful. Keep your head up, it don't matter. Don't be discouraged, it don't matter. Let the world know that it don't matter. Be your own kind of beautiful. Curvy is so beautiful, plus size is so wonderful. Being thick has benefits, I'm not your ordinary cheek. I've got a lot of love to share with little short and nappy hair. Taking time to let you know I'm my own kind of beautiful. So thick hips and sexy girl, don't you be ashamed. No, 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 no,
Hey everybody, welcome to Jamila J Girl Talk, Mind, Body, Soul, and Business. How you doing, Chuck?
Hey, what's going on, Jamila? Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to see what's going on. And every time I'm on, Jamila J's Girl Talk is always a good time. So looking forward to it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And we have our special guest, September Rain, and she sent me her picture. Hey,
What's going on,
she sent me her picture, Chuck.
Uh-huh.
She sent me her picture, and it said, "You know my name, but you don't know my story." So
Not my story.
we're gonna get into her story, learn a little bit about September Rain. What I know about her, Chuck, she is an aspiring plus size model, and she's a singer. So hopefully, I'm gonna ask her to do a little something for us, of course. And also, I invited a couple of ladies in. I'm gonna call them they're mature females to just impact their knowledge and a little bit of. We lost September Rain. Is it raining? Is it September? Where you at?
I don't know.
Where you at? Where you at? Do we lose you?
Nah,
That
unless you
too.
something. Yeah.
So
There she is.
to just impact the story.
I'm here.
I'm very adamant about spousal abuse, toxic relationships, whatever you want to call it, domestic violence. So hopefully we'll have some other ladies to impact and pour into her some love and some good mature advice coming from grown women that we've been there and done that. So we want to embrace her. Yeah, we want to embrace her and just show her unconditional love. So Miss Rain, September, where were you born and where do you live at?
I was born in Colonia, New Jersey. Well, actually, I was born in Newark, New Jersey, raised in Colonia, New Jersey. So it's a small town in New Jersey, like a real small area. And, it was a nice school. It was good education that I got growing up with, and I was adopted. So my mother and father were not present, and that played a part in the trauma that I went through, as I got older.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I feel as though this is going to help people. You know, I just want to be there, you know, to somebody that's out there that they need help. You know what I mean? They might not even know that they're going through the abuse. They don't see the signs, you know, or they feel like they're going through it and they don't know who to call or who to reach out to. So I just look at it like I went through what I went through to help somebody else to get out.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you still in Jersey, residing in Jersey, or are you're still living in Jersey?
I will be back down there pretty soon.
Okay. All right. That's all I had. That's all I had. I just,
Yeah.
I just wondered.
Maybe in transition. So you said you were adopted and your mom and dad was not around. Where was your mom at? And where was your dad?
Well, my mother, she had a nervous breakdown because she had me young. She was 17 when she had me. And she had my sister when she was 20. So she was trying to raise two children about, you know what I'm saying, like young. So she had a nervous breakdown. And that, you know, that was where the trauma started for me, you know, because it was like being separated from my mother at a young age, you know, and I remembered so much growing up and I was so close to her. So, you know, that was really difficult for me to focus in school. I had a lot of issues in school, you know, focusing and paying attention to the classwork, you know what I mean? Like just acting out.
How old were you when your mom, I guess, started showing signs of mental illness?
Well, from what I was told is that she's had it because she was in the foster system. And so the woman who raised me, I'll call her my grandmother because she raised my mother like her own daughter. So when she took her in, it was like she had issues already from what I was told. But I never knew as a child. I just loved my mother. So it was like when she had to separate from me, it was like, oh my God, you know, the trauma, like I didn't understand. So that's where the what's wrong with me thing came on it.
How old were you?
I was 2.5.
When you separated with your mom? Yeah. When you were adopted?
When she had the
Oh, you were young. Wow. How old were your sister?
I'm sorry?
Your sister? How old was your sister?
She was 3 months old.
Oh my God. Wow.
Now I do got a question. Was your father involved? Was your father around in the picture? Was he in the picture? You know, as far as you know, do you remember him being in the picture? Put it like that.
I do remember him trying to come visit. But my grandmother, you know, she cared about us a lot. And I feel like she was coming from a good place where she was trying to just protect us to just grow up, you know what I mean? But I remember him trying to come visit and stuff like that. But he was not around, you know, so I didn't have that example on how to look for love or to be loved properly or anything like that, you know. But I am in contact with him now, and you know, we're working on our issues and things like that. So just gotta move forward with it.
That's great. That's great. That's great to hear.
Yeah. So before, was your mom institutionalized or was she on like medication kind of before you were adopted out?
From what I know is that she was in a group home. So when she had the nervous breakdown, she went to a group home. And she would come visit me and my sister, but she couldn't stay the night. And, you know, that's the trauma it was hard for me because I was so attached to her. Like, I can only imagine what my sister went through with that, you know, because she was so young, so little when it happened. But, you know, she was back and forth. And I do remember her telling me at 8 years old, like, I'm going to go find our real family. You know, I want you, I'm going to be back. Like, and so that messed me up mentally, like where she went to Ohio. That's where the Ohio part comes in because she went out to Ohio to go find her family. And from there on, I just started acting out like I just did not care because I remembered her telling me like, I'm gonna come. So I was looking at my grandmother. She's trying to help. And I'm looking at her like, who are you? You're not my mother. Like just acting out reckless. Like reckless. Like
so from that point on, 2.5 up until what point did you stay with your grandmother?
I was with her my entire life.
Entire life? Okay.
She raised me in my yeah.
Okay.
And she tried to tell my mother, you know, how to be a mother. Like she was just there to try to help and usher her, you know, and I guess it was too much, you know, because she was young. So she was unable to raise us. And I feel like that was the best thing that she can do, you know, instead of just taking us in and trying to, and then something happened. So the best thing that she made was to give us to someone who could take care of us and who could, you know, nurture us and love us properly. So,
and that was great that she was that mature at that young age to realize that, because some of them don't, you know what I mean? And then, you know, that's when all the, you know, trauma to the kids and abuse and all that comes into play. But that's great that she recognized that at a young age that I can't take care of these kids. So I'm gonna have some hats off to her, because a lot of people say, well, you know, I hear some stories. Oh, you left me, you abused. No, but at the same time, she couldn't take care of you. So that was really great of her to do that. So I think she should, you know, a lot of people should give their parents credit who do that. Give them to somebody. At least you were with somebody you knew, your grandparent, versus in the system. You know what I mean? Because then that's where it gets really, really complicated when you get in that system. So yeah.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
And I think sometimes, you know, as parents, we do the best we can. You know, sometimes that's all we do, the best we can. How has that impacted, you know, your life? I know you didn't bond with your mom, and probably your sister too didn't bond at 3 months old. But how did that, you know, as an I guess, you know, high school? Did you go to college? How was your life?
Yeah.
Well, I had a great life, you know, as far as financially wise. We never needed anything. You know, my grandmother was a teacher. She taught kindergarten to 5th grade. We had the education. It was all good, but the trauma is what was the issue. You know, I could just speak for myself when I say this, and I just didn't love myself. I didn't feel like I had value in myself. So when I was going to school, it was like I couldn't focus, and I was very, very quiet, shy, timid, like didn't want to talk, you know, and that makes you a target when you're like that, you know, like, oh, we could make rumors, we could say this, that, because you're not going to defend yourself. So that was going on. And I actually, like, I just hated myself. I really did. I'm not even gonna lie. And it took me to grow. Like, my mother used to call throughout the years, you know, she would say, I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna come visit you, like, and she never did. And that kind of messed me up as well. Like, I was always thinking she was gonna come back. So I had counseling within the school system and social workers, you know, they're like trying to help me, like, she's not coming back, you have to accept this. And in my mind, it was like, yes, she is, you know, like, yes, she is. So
that's kind of where the trauma started, with not bonding with your mom. Your mom, you know, unkept promises of coming back to I guess get you, and you know, just it just started the trauma from there. Okay.
Yes, it did. It was her. But I know, like I said, I look at it now and I know that she did the best that she could within her ability. You know, she passed January 3rd, 2019, and I was able to bond with her, and I'm grateful for those moments and those opportunities that I had with her. And so she's like the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing right now too at the same time. So
awesome. And we do got some comments out there. I want to get to them right now. Sure. We got Sky Darling listening. She says, hello, fam. What's going on, Sky? Thanks for tuning in. Robert Dixon says, peace and blessings to all. Any day above ground. A great day. Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Rob. Thanks for tuning in. And Sky Darling says, September rain. Excited to see you on the show. And you will feel good with King Chuck and Queen of Casting, Jamila J.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Thank you. I might have to write that one down too. You know what I mean? We also got Willette Hershey says, good afternoon. Hey, what's going on, Willette? Tuning in. I heard from you in a while. Thanks for tuning in. And Scott Darling says, please share this broadcast and you will feel good on Jamila J's Girl Talk. Yes, you will. She also says, Willette says, thank God for your strength.
Yes.
Story with us.
Yes.
And I'm going to mess this name up. Wamoru, I think, if I'm not mistaken. She says, "Good afternoon."
That's my sister. Thank you, baby.
Hey, thanks for joining. Appreciate it.
One day she's going to share her story, and then we'll learn how to pronounce her name. But
Yeah,
that's my friend from Boston. We met in New York, and she's always supported me.
Okay,
wow.
Even now. Thank you. Appreciate you. Hey, we do got some people in the back. We have Callie Soul. I don't know if she's ready to come on yet. Whenever y'all ready to come on, let me know. You just give me the heads up or flash. And then we also have HC Lovejoy. She's in the back, but I know she was driving because she's in the Bronx driving. I don't know about Callie Soul. I don't know where she is and if she's able to wait a minute, she's on.
Callie Soul is in Colorado. She can come in.
I'm gonna get her on right now. Here she go.
Okay.
Bam. What's up, Callie Soul? We can't hear you. You're muted, I think. No, you're not. Yeah, you're on, but I can't hear you. But I don't want you getting in an accident now. We'll come back to you if you have to, you know.
But we can't hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear you right now.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll come back to you, definitely.
Okay. So yeah, those are my, I'm gonna call them, Chuck, you heard of OG, right?
Yeah.
OG, Original Gangsters. So these are my OBS, my old broad squad. So these are mature women that we gonna impact your life, and we gonna, give you some love. What did they say? A call for love. So call for love. So we want to learn more about your life. So did you graduate from high school? Did you go to college?
Did you hear?
September. Can you hear me?
Yes, it's just I guess the signal is breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, you were breaking up.
Okay.
She asked the word. What'd you say, Jamila? She said it again. She couldn't hear.
I was just asking, did you graduate from high school and go to college?
See, my behind dropped out in the middle of 12th grade. Now who does that? I guess September rain. And I was right there, like 12th grade, but like I said, I was dealing with the trauma and the issues I had within myself and didn't want to finish. I didn't doing like retarded stuff. And I dropped out, but when I met my kid's father, I went back to school and got my GED while I was pregnant with our first child. And then I graduated and got that. And when I came back to Ohio, which is a whole nother story as far as with the homelessness portion, I went back to college at Ohio Media School. And that's where I got my audio production degree and, went to school for media for there. And I graduated there. And so I was happy about that.
Okay, good. So you have 3 kids. What's their ages?
I've got 3 children, yes.
And how old are they?
7, 6, and 3.
Okay.
Okay. Now, how was that, transitioning into a mom? Because I know you had to deal with the trauma, with your mother. So how did that affect you, and what made you make that decision to have kids? Because some people are I'm gonna be honest with you, like they're traumatized by a certain situation, they'll stay away from that, situation or event. So how did you determine, okay, I want to have kids now? What made you, what got you that turning point?
Okay. So when I got with my kid's father, he was kind of, me and him bonded because we were both adopted. So it was the trauma bond.
Oh, okay.
And he was like, I want you to have my baby. And I got like all excited because I'm like, okay, we can have our own family.
Right.
And so the way I looked at, and in the beginning, like, no, I was not perfect. No, I did not know what I was doing. I didn't really have people there. Like there were people there that were telling me stuff, but it was like more from a judgment place. So I didn't listen to it and I felt belittled. And so, when you're young, you don't want nobody telling you what to do. So it was like I had to learn on my own on how to be a mother. And for me, what kept me going with them was the feelings of rejection, the feelings of abandonment, because I had those feelings. It's like I can't let them feel this. So that's what keeps me going, not to quit, not to give up, because it's, how that feels, don't do it. You know what I mean? So that's what kept me, and to this day is keeping me from taking care of my children and, still going on with that.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So Yeah, and it can have a negative or a positive effect as well. So that's all I wanted to say that as well. So
Absolutely.
I'm great with positive effects.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you
Yes.
meet
It's not
your
easy.
kid's father? Oh, go
I
ahead.
met him at a party. I met him
Okay.
at a house party, and oh Lord, rest in peace. One of my high school friends. He had like a home studio at his house, and I would go over there and record. And he rapped and stuff, and he would record me and stuff. And one day he was like, "Let's go get a beer," and he was struggling to be sober at the time. And so I'm like, "Okay, so we go get some beers," and we started drinking. Then all these people just started showing up out of nowhere. And then his dad came downstairs because he lived at his dad's house. And he was just, what's going on? He tried to pin it on me, like, well, she made me do it, you know? And so I got angry and wanted to fight. And that's where I saw my kid's father, where I met him at, because he was like trying to calm me down. And his dad was like, I'm gonna call the police, like, and we all left. We all left to go out. And he was just like trying to calm me down. I'm like, you don't know me like that. And he was like, I know, but it's like you smooth talk me, like, and asked me for my number. And then, you know, from there, we just ended up being together after that. But that's how I met him.
Okay. So, now, Ben, you said you met him. So obviously you were singing prior to meeting him. So when did you, when did you get inspired, you know, as far as singing? Was that something that you had, that gift you had, and you knew you had it when you were younger, or did you develop that as you went along?
Well, that's the thing. I have had dreams. I would call them prophetic dreams since I was little.
Okay.
And I had a dream that I was on a stage as a child. And I didn't know this is before I even wanted to sing and stuff. So I already knew a feeling like I was going to do that type of thing. But I ended up doing dance. I did ballet, tap, jazz, and point from 4 to 16 years old. So there was all these different things I wanted to do, but I couldn't decide what I wanted to do. So it was more of a passion for me. Like it was like a hobby. Like I just like to sing. So I didn't know there was a certain way you had to sound good. Right. So I probably would have been further if I knew that. You know what I mean? But that's with that.
Okay, and that's how you got. Okay, awesome, yeah. Because I just, you know, sometimes, you know, finding that passion takes a while, you know, because of the trauma and stuff like that. But I just want to
right, absolutely. And I was very shy, so a lot of people didn't even know. I was very, very
a lot of singers say that, and a lot of entertainers say that all the time. They say, I'm very shy, I'm an introvert, whatever the case may be. And then when you get them on here, Feel Good Talk or whatever, they just blow up. It's like they just
yeah. Like when did you start singing? Like
exactly. Yeah. So, and it's great. It's amazing how you could turn that off and turn it on right away. You know what I mean? Like you say you're quiet, and the next thing you know, you get on stage, you turn to this whole different person. You know, that's crazy. But again,
it's that alter ego. That's what they call it.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's just incredible how that happens. So
it's fun, you know, somewhere you put your energy at. Like you get to be somebody that you are, but the real you know, on stage. Kind of transfer. So
hey, we got some more comments out there, and I'm gonna get to those because it's about 8 of them. So let me get to those right now. This W says, say I ain't gonna keep messing your name up. She says I did the same thing. She was talking about when she dropped out of high school at 12th grade. So maybe this is what she's talking about.
You're not alone.
So now you better see that pressure's off you now. And then Scott, good for you, September Rain. And she said, congratulations, Miss W. And Sky says, I will dig the name Summer Rain. What is the meaning? Oh, okay. She says she digs the name Summer Rain. What is the meaning? There you go.
Oh, she digs the name. Okay.
I really dig the name.
At the time when I was dealing with the domestic violence with my kid's father and stuff, and I was trying to go through school, and I had lost my mother at the same time. So I'm trying to go through all this and mother kids. I was working with someone that worked with a nonprofit organization. Dang, what's the name of it? Oh my God. Well, her name is Paulette. And she was the one that gave me the name. She was like, you know, hey, why don't you, you know, do a name like September Rain or something so he can't find you? And I was like, that's it. It's called Urban Success. events for people that go through trauma or kidnapped or trafficking or anything. She's dope. Like, I love her so much. And, she really helped me and my kids get out of the situation I was in. And so she was just like, why don't you use September Rain? I was like, I love that. And she's gonna mention another one, but I was like, nah, September Rain, that's it.
Yeah, that's
so
hot.
That's in the name. So
yeah,
I
now,
love it.
you're talking about leaving a situation. So I'm gonna get to that when let me get these questions real quick. I'm gonna get right back, come back to that though.
Yes.
But Scott says she's having a bad connection. She might be okay.
No. Sorry.
But she's back on now, so she's thing. Izzy says hello. What's going on, Izzy? Thanks for tuning in. And she says, I'm glad you are doing what you do. Keep going, my queen. She's talking about something.
I love you too, Sky.
And, Izzy says, is it true my son is so shy, but when he gets into making beats and talking about them, he's totally a different person? Yeah, it is true, Izzy. We just talked about it, and I'll let you answer September. We already talked about it, but you can answer that again. Definitely.
I'm saying, is it true that he can transform? Like, so it's like when you get into your passion, your purpose, you know, I'm a firm believer in God. And so when, you know, your gifts will make room for you. And so there's only, you know, it's like fingerprint. We only have our own fingerprint. Everybody has a distinct fingerprint. You know what I mean? So it's like he can be himself and he's comfortable being himself. So it's a different person than how he would be with somebody else. Almost like going on a stage and you can just alter ego, you know? That's why we usually use different names. You can just do alter ego. It's not yourself. It is yourself, real self. Like, yeah,
that's true. And you were going. Let's go back because you said something about change your name because you were trying to hide. Now is that because I guess we went from, you know, the trauma in childhood, then we went to meeting your boyfriend, you know, which was seemed like a great story. You had the 3 kids. Now, something must have happened in between that because now you're talking about hiding your name and putting it, you know, having a different name and all that. Can we get into that part there? Because, you know, we're missing something. We're missing a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, I mean, like when we started, it was cool. Like everything was perfect, you know. Like so I'm aware with narcissistic, what it was narcissistic abuse. Wow. So what they'll do is they'll romance you and get you like all happy, and you think it's love and this and that, and then the real them, who's been there the whole time, just comes out, and they already have you on a string at that time. They isolate you and get you by yourself, and that's what happened. I was isolated, you know, and I take responsibility for my actions as well, you know, dealing with it for so long. You know what I mean? Like my kids did not need to be around that. You know what I'm saying? And so I had to get away. And it was like every time I got away from him, he would come back with some kind of sobbing story, and then I'll let him back in every single time. So, and I was with him for 7 years, you know, and I was just like, but the God in me, I'm gonna say the God in me was like, you know, trying to show unconditional love to him because I was adopted like he was. It was like I was just trying to show him a different way of love or how I wanted to be loved. And he took advantage of that. But, you know, I'm not angry with him. I understand, you know, people handle trauma different ways. So I was trying to get away from him, you know, just like this has to end. So I was just trying to get away because I knew every time I would get somewhere and he'd find me, I'll let him back in. He knew how to get the buttons, you know what I mean, to push those buttons. So my thing was, okay, I would just try to get away. And so I had to change my name and everything. Like, just, it's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. Now I know why when I asked you that. Okay, now it all goes back why you didn't say anything. So I'm glad you did. So I'll apologize for that. But yeah.
Oh, no problem. No.
Yeah, but that's crazy though. I cannot stand people like that. I know a buddy of mine, he's going through the same thing, you know, trying to isolate him, you know what he's doing. He got to talk on speakerphone, crazy stuff. I said, man, you crazy. So again, that's a sickness, and you got to be, you know, like a lot of times I don't understand why he likes it. I mean, he just, you know, and he just deals with it. So again, I'm glad you got away from it because that's crazy. And I understand probably you were trying to keep your family together because of the fact that you didn't want to see, you know, like you had them go through what you went through, where you're not seeing your father, you know. So, you know, I understand, you know, why, you know, you would try to hang in there and stick in, you know, and then people take advantage of that too. You know, they know, you know, okay, well, I'll, come, I know she'll forgive me because she wants this to stay together, but it has to be a mutual thing. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah,
Right.
but I'm glad you got away from him. Good thing for you. So.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about the people reaching people, that are in something like this and don't know how to get out, or they don't see the signs, or or they're just ignoring the red flags, like what I did, ignored the red flags, So
your
that's
type of woman.
So what are some of the red flags?
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry, see one time.
Go ahead, Jamila. Go ahead. She didn't hear you. Go ahead.
Go, Chuck, go.
No,
but you were gonna say something. Oh no,
I forgot.
No, Chuck, I like when you're engaging and so I'm gonna let you from a man's perspective. I think that's very empowering. Because you're engaging and you wanna, it's very empowering. So if you have something to say, go ahead. I got plenty of questions. So
I know.
Go ahead.
That's all good because I would put it like that. I forgot what I was gonna say. Maybe to come back, I did say it already, so that's probably why it went off of my brain. But Robert Dickinson says, Miss Rain, seems like you believe in and achieving. So again, thanks for that. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate you.
Thank
brother.
you.
Yes, indeed. So yeah, go ahead. Back to you, Jamila. I'm sorry, I was in there running. What you say now? The red flag. Talking about red flag.
Yeah, we took Naeem has a course in toxic relationships, and I was trying to tie it all into that. So what are some? It's different levels of toxicity, but it could be like you said in terms of Chuck, somebody making you, who did you call? Where are you, tracking your phone calls and tracking your movements and going through your email. You're not knowing they're going through your phone. So what are some of the signs, the red flags you were referring to?
Like say when you're saying that you're done with them and it's almost like they're bullying you to be with them. That's something that I went through. So I'm like, I look back on it like I've been done with him for a long time, but I chose to stay because of the intimidation. So it was almost like bullying you to be with them. So that's a red flag. Whenever you're like, I can't do this anymore, and it's like it's almost like they'll try to manipulate you to be with them. Like, oh, why so you can be with someone else? Or, to try to get that guilt, make you feel guilty and feel bad. And then you're just like, oh, I gotta stay. Like, that's what that's what I went through. So I'm just being transparent. I don't know if anyone else is like that or has that going on, but that's one of the red flags is when they try to bully you to be with them.
You talked about isolation.
Another one is gaslighting. I'm sorry.
What'd you say, September? I'm sorry.
The signal is going in and out. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
You're good. That was us. We were coming in with the same questions at the same time. So
go ahead.
Go ahead, September. You were saying something.
Okay.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another one is gaslighting, where you'll tell them how you feel and they'll reject what you feel and try to make it like you don't know what you're talking about or it's not important, gaslighting. So that's another sign too, like dismiss. They're very dismissive. They dismiss your feelings, what you have to say, but what they have to say is important. Everything they have to say is important. Have to listen to them. That's gaslighting.
Yeah. I know a lot of people like that. But hey, we do have, we're talking about red flags. We do have this is great right here. But I'm going to go to Sky Darlings first. I got 2 comments, but Sky Darlings, I'm going to go to that one. She says, do you think that Black women get less support and resources when they are in domestic violence relationships? That's a good question.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I can speak for race. I know that, we've had a lot of racism within our race. And I'm dealing with something like that at this moment. You know what I'm saying? So, you know how they say like, oh, a white person would get help before a Black person would get help. Yeah, that still goes on.
Yeah.
But with domestic violence, it should be the act itself. It shouldn't be the color of your skin or the preference, or if you're a male or female. It shouldn't be that way.
Right.
I don't know if that answers
No, you did a great job at that. And this the one right here I wanted to get to. Izzy Meditate says there are many types of narcissists. 7 types. We got overt, covert, hypervigilant, oblivious, suspicious, sexual, and malignant. You can Google them. These relationships are quite dangerous. Sometimes narcissists are not aware they are a narcissist, and that's true. That's very true.
Exactly.
Yep. And
thanks, Izzy. That was good information.
Exactly. That was awesome. And then Scott says, "Thank you, Izzy, for sharing."
Thank you, Izzy.
No, and she says, "You're welcome. Knowledge is power." Yes, indeed.
Yes.
So, there you have it. So I had to get to that because we were on, some of the signs, but she actually broke it all down. So I'm gonna look up all of those because that looks very interesting. Definitely. So
yeah. It really is.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So
you talked a little bit about isolation. How did he isolate you? Did he stop you from seeing your friends and your family?
What he would do is he would say like that they were against me, you know what I mean, or they were using me, or when they were like actually helping me, or trying to be there, you know what I mean. And it was just, I really regret it. Like I'm not gonna say I regret it because it made me who I am, but as far as the choices, because it was like right in front of me, but that's how good it gets. Like when you're like dealing with it, you're just in it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's really hard to explain when you're not dealing with that situation. So the isolation was like, you would be like, oh, they don't care about you, or this or that. So it would make you closer to them and want to be with them. But that was the whole time what they were doing, to make you isolate. And so once you're isolated, then they can put things in your mind, and that's all you're hearing. The mind, how we are programmed when we hear something for a certain amount of time. So that's what was going on. It was like, you're this, you're that, you're not going to be anything. You're da-da. But for me, I was like, you know what? These kids, they need a light, need a voice. Somebody has to be a voice. I'm about to go to school. I got to do something. Like that's just where it came from. Like simply.
Yeah. And that's awesome. Did it ever get to a point where it got physical?
Yeah, absolutely. I've gotten bitten. I've gotten choked.
Crazy.
Hit my head. I mean, there's just so many incidents that he's done, like, but it all was something so little, like so little, and it would just get explosive. But that's where the gaslighting comes in at.
Right.
Because so little, and it would just escalate, and that's why I say I take my part in it as well, because a lot of times I could have just was like, I'm just gonna not argue. But it got to so bad where I would do that and he would still like provoke, and it would just escalate. So it's dangerous. Narcissism is dangerous.
Yes, it is. Hey, we got Callie Soul. She looks like she's ready to come on now, I guess. Give me that hand if you are, Callie. Let me see your hand. Can she hear me? Okay, she's ready to come on. She gave me the hand signal. Hey, what's up?
Can you hear me?
Yes. How you doing?
Hello.
Thanks for tuning in.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you hear us?
Very good. Yes.
Can you hear us?
It's a little choppy. I'm on my Wi-Fi now, so hopefully it'll straighten out. Good afternoon, everyone.
Hey,
good afternoon.
Hey, thank you for coming. As I'm listening to her story, Callie, so I'm trying to integrate, what we learned in Naeem's course with the toxic relationship. You want to interject a little bit on that? The gaslighting, the isolation, the dismissiveness.
Yeah, isolation is a very interesting one. I speak from the place of a past abuser. I was the one that was very toxic, and I was the one that wanted to isolate my partner. I didn't want him to interact with anyone of the opposite sex. I wanted to know where he was going, and when he was coming back, what he was doing, what the nature of the friendships were. I don't do that anymore. I did not realize that I was toxic until I read this book of Naeem's, Love is Not a Game. And he went through all kinds of different scenarios in this. And I was like, oh shit, I'm the toxic one. And I recognized that I spent a lot of time in my relationship pointing the finger like, well, he did this and he did that. And it was like I never took responsibility, for my own actions and my own feelings and projections. So, taking a look within, because even in an abusive situation, you have to realize you can't do anything about what that other person is doing. You can only do something about how you feel, how you're viewing it. And if it's an abusive situation and you're being passive, you're abusing yourself by looking at it like, oh, it's not that bad. He loves me, so that's why he's possessive. And it's like, no, possessiveness is toxic. Financial abuse is toxic. What was the other one we just said?
Isolation, dismissiveness.
Isolation. Yeah, like that's all toxic. And if you are being okay with someone else's toxicity, then you are utilizing that relationship to abuse yourself. And that's hard to believe sometimes, because the first thing that human nature would draw us towards is looking outside of ourselves and saying what someone else has done to us. But really taking, responsibility for who we have in our lives and why we have them in our lives, it really helps to understand, like, no, I might be utilizing these situations to abuse myself and to feed my own toxicity so that it makes me feel comfortable.
Yeah. And what we learned from Naeem, if it's not love, it's fear. So there was something fearful in your ex-boyfriend, September Rain, and then Callie, so it was something fearful in you. And I want to ask you a question, September Rain. Why did you stay for 7 years?
Because I guess it was fear. I guess it was fear. I guess it was, all the time and the work and effort that I put in him, and, wanting things to change, trying to know that he had potential. And it was like I saw the best in him, and that's where it was wrong at. But that's what made me stay as long as I did, know.
And Kelly, so how long did your partner stay?
We were married for 7 years, and how I was able to control him was monetarily. Like, I knew that I was the breadwinner, so I knew that I could abuse to the extent that he was willing to stay, because I knew that he didn't have the resources to get away from me.
That's very interesting you say that, because I always trying to fit, like, not for nothing, I see a lot of women that taking care of men now. And I always wanted to ask a woman that was in that situation, what is it, the power? Do you feel like, what drives you to want to take care of a man? Like, is it that, you got the, like you said, you had the finances over him, so he had to depend on you to basically get an allowance, whatever he had to do, he had to depend on you more so. So what is the attraction? Is it the power, like, that you have, like, over this person? Like, what is the attraction of being with someone who can't even take care of themselves, or you have to provide for and they're grown? That's all. I mean, if they're, how can I say it? They're able to take care of themselves, not a handicapper. That's something different. But I'm talking about a man,
able-bodied man that could work,
able to work and do what he's supposed to do. What makes you attracted to a person like that? I've always wanted to, because I never want to be attracted to anybody like that, because it's like a big child. You have a big boy in the house, and that's it. Me, I get upset with that, because a lot of men, they sit there and settle for this dumb stuff. To me, it seems like nowadays it's more acceptable than back when I was coming up. You provided for your family. You know what I'm saying? I would never have a woman dictate, as far as financially, what I'm going to get. You know what I mean? Like, and we'll do it together, but it will never be a point where I'm going to sit there and depend on another human being to feed me. So I just want to know, what is the attraction to that, and why do women want to do that? And I heard the potential. I hear everybody say, oh, he has potential, but that's it. Like, leave that potential alone and get with somebody that's doing it. Like if you're 40 or 35 and you're still got potential, obviously your time is running out. Like, what are you waiting on? Like, why are y'all, I don't understand why people waste their time with people like that. Oh, he has a potential or she has a potential to do so much. Okay, well, let them figure it out. And then if they get it right, and if you're not with somebody, then I'll come back and pick you up. But other than that, I get tired of hearing that, as far as that's concerned. But back to you, Callie. I'm sorry. I jumped off the subject a little bit.
That's okay.
What is the attraction of taking care of a man?
Okay. For me, it was just control, and the root of that control was looking outside of myself for love. Like, in any time we're willing to settle for less than what we deserve, it's you don't love yourself enough to aim higher. So for me, it was like, oh, if this is the best that I can do, then I'm going to work with it. And then that's when it comes into like somebody turns into your little project. It's like, oh, okay, well, this person has potential. If I can get them to follow my script, if I can get them to, clean up, learn how to shave, get a better job, whatever it is, speak better, whatever it may be that your script is that you're holding on to, hiding it in your pocket, like that fantasy person that we've created in our mind that the other person should be, instead of allowing them the freedom to show up as they self. And if they show up as their self and it's not to your liking, having enough courage to say, this isn't for me. Oftentimes, instead of somebody saying, this isn't for me, this person isn't for me, it's like, I'm gonna shine them up.
Yeah.
And then it blows up in your face.
Exactly. 9 times out of 10 it does. You know what I mean? Like I hear stories all the time from people, and it just goes downhill, because they start depending on you. And I do got some questions out there. I just want to get these out the way right quick. And Izzy Meditate says, did you encounter people who ask you, why did you stay? I think we answered it already. And why didn't you just leave? That drives me crazy when I hear people say that. No one can understand anyone's situation until they have lived it yourself. And that's so true, because you never know. Like, it's hard to say why you didn't leave. And it took me some time to understand that too. You understand what I'm saying? So, and Fatima West says, big child in the house. That's funny. And she says, Izzy says, I also like to mention narcissists can be both male and female, and it doesn't have to be a partner. It can be a relative or even a friend. That is so true. That's why you don't have to deal with your family as well as the same way you would deal with your friends. If they're not going to abide or they're toxic to you, you got to let it go. And we just talked about that. Callie Solvin said, you have to decide whether or not you want to, deal with that person or not. So it's best to let them go, because you're abusing yourself by accepting their behavior. And Fatima West says, I heard a woman say, I controlled him by way of finances. That's so interesting. New perspective. I've been hearing it.
I think that works both ways too, Chuck. Men with money control females. I mean, all the time, and they're the breadwinner. They have the money and they have the control. So money and finances is power. But I wanted to ask September Rain the same question you asked Callie Soul. You were supporting this man, correct, September Rain?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Because what he did was he made it seem as though he was trying to work and get himself together and do what he had to do. And so I had found out later that that's not what he was doing. So it was one of those type of situations. And then I was so embarrassed from it. I just stayed, even though I was embarrassed. If that makes any sense.
No, that makes
I'm okay, we can get it.
When I asked the question, why did you stay? It was not at all trying to belittle you or ridicule you or make you feel less than. I think, to me, that's a question people ask, and I don't think it's a derogatory question, But I think people want to know, and I'm not. It's not coming from a place of judgment. And I think I ask the questions I think people want to know. And I think a lot of people want to know, why do women stay in abusive relationships? You know, and it could be financial. Go ahead.
The connection is breaking up real bad.
Okay, sorry. Okay. I don't know why. I have two routers here, but I just wanted to say that, because I think people want to know. It could be financial, it could be sexual, it could be you know, just don't want to be by yourself. You know, it could be a myriad of different reasons. So I just wanted to say, inquiring minds want to know. So, so yeah. But you know, also Kelly, so I appreciate. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I think another thing that is very interesting right now is we understand that we're in the midst, and have been in the midst, of a huge women's movement for quite some time. And African American women are a little bit ahead of African American men in society. So in speaking to a lot of the women that I speak to, myself included, we've made pretty nice lives for ourselves. So we went through the phase of, like, you know what, I'm not going for nothing but a baller. He's got to match my income. He's got to match my hustle. And then in encountering those relationships, we probably learned some of those narcissistic behaviors and took them with us, where it was like, you know, these people are buttholes. So they're controlling and toxic and different things like that. So it's like, okay, you know what, maybe I shouldn't go for the ballers and stuff. Maybe I should give the regular, everyday, average man a chance, because we understand that in this society, Black men have been marginalized. So a lot of women that I talk to, myself included, have said, you know what, I'll help him get up on his feet. And then, you know, if you are offering that grace to the wrong person, then they're going to take advantage of it, and they're never going to get up on their feet, because then you turn into a mother, and it's like a nasty, toxic, what do you call that when in nature, when you have an animal that kind of feeds and lives off what the other animal, I don't know what it's called, but it's basically it's a relationship. It's kind of like that of a relationship. Mooching, right? It's the same thing as the relationship between, like, toxic mothers who let their son stay home well into their 50s. It's like that mother doesn't necessarily have a husband or a man in her life, but she looks to her son for that, and the son looks to his mom. So they're kind of like crutching off of each other. And nonetheless, it's a toxic relationship. So I think as a society and as a culture, we have to be careful with that too, because a lot of us do understand, like, no, if don't nobody else have our backs, we have to have one another's back. But we also have to recognize toxicity and nip it in the bud when we see it. Like, hey, nah, you're not here to just get on your feet and, you know, give back and do better in society. You're here kicking your feet up, drinking all my good juice, you know, and you might not never leave. So yeah, that's what do you all feel about that, Jamila and Chuck? Like that gray area, or that in between of having one another's backs and taking advantage of each other?
Yeah, it can be like that, because I see a lot of young men, especially the women, they raise these young men and they baby them, and they continue to baby them, like you said, until they're 30, 40. They live at home, and they, you know, and I guess the mom don't, you know, it's like, you know, I guess content with having, you know, her son around, you know what I mean? Because she might not have a male figure around or whatever. But I see that a lot happening now, where the women are babying these men. And I see the problem that you're dealing with, as far as, you know, you adopt that way of, okay, well, you said, okay, I'm gonna go get this person and help them out. And then when you help them out, they take advantage of you. you know, or take advantage of the situation. So I do see that the problem is a lot of, I'm not going to say that because, I mean, well, yeah, this is what I see. Okay. I'm not saying this,
Yeah.
you know, this
Speak
is
your truth. It's okay.
you know,
Yeah.
where I see a lot of women, mothers, you know, babying their young men, you know, and not treating them, you know, like they're going to be men eventually. Because again, we had the broken home situation too, where you have a lot more women raising these men. And it seems like nowadays they look for that woman to take care of them, or they look for that, you know, person to give them that nurturing that they need all the way up through like 40s and 50s, you know, and they probably will never get it together if they don't want it, you know, for themselves. So that's just my take on that. I don't know, Jamila, maybe I didn't answer your question, but that's what I see out there. You know,
I think it's a thin line between potentiality and, you know, reality. And I think as women, we want to save the world. We want to help our Black men get on their feet. We want to be, you know, we're just innate mothers, you know. So, you know, I have sons, and, you know, my son said, you know, Mommy, I wanted a woman to treat me like you treated me, you know. And I said, well, I treated you the way my mother treated me, you know. And he said, well, you know, that's the woman I'm looking for. But he may never find a woman, you know, as a single parent too, you know, to treat him the way unconditional love, you know. And it's I don't know, it's a tough, it's a thin line, but I think as women, as mothers, we have to define it. And as men, if you're truly a man, like, you know, Chuck, I agree with you. How can you let me be the breadwinner?
well,
How
I'm not
can you
necessarily
let me go to work, go to, you know, take care of the kids, come home and cook, you know, do all these things, and, you know, you're not contributing. And I'm going back to another situation that's always in the back of my mind with China. You know, she worked, but he never kept the kids. He could not tolerate two kids, you know, 6 and 4. He just couldn't, you know, tolerate that. He didn't cook. He didn't provide, you know. I mean, some men, you know, my daddy hustled, you know, I'm not saying illegally, but he cut hair. He was a musician. I told you he was a boxer. You know, he would go hunt. And so just sometimes it's not even about a job. It's just being able to provide for your family in different kind of ways. And I think we've lost that somewhere, somehow. But as women, and I stated this before, we get lonely. You know, we have needs, you know, and men just keep running on you, and you pretty, you this, you that, you know, eventually, you know, you may give in, you know. And so you just it gets familiar, you know, you get used to it, you know. So that's kind of my answer. But I think it's really fascinating to have two different perspectives on the same topic, female abuser and then a female that's being abused. I couldn't ask for more. I mean, this is, you know, good stuff, and I appreciate you coming on, Callie.
yeah,
You know?
definitely. Yeah, and Robert Dixon, he says, no one's mentioned counseling yet. Has that been an asset to your recovery? And do you suggest counseling? This is to September. Can you hear September?
It's like really choppy. So the signal, I've been trying to figure out how to get the signal.
You have Wi-Fi on the phone, or you didn't put the Wi-Fi on?
I'm using data, but when I turn my Wi-Fi off, I can actually hear a little bit better, but it's still choppy. So I'm trying to figure out.
Can you hear us now? Can you hear us now?
It's real. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I can hear you.
What about you, Callie? So did you get any counseling? Or how did you change your abusive ways?
Professional counseling. I didn't get professional counseling because I was willing to just dive in and do the work myself. I did not seek professional counseling also because I didn't feel like I needed somebody to tell me to change. Like I absolutely recognized like, nah, you got some toxic stuff and you need to change. And I was willing to change. So I didn't feel like I needed a professional. I felt like I just needed to turn within and dig in and do the work and, you know, start getting stuff about the garden, pull the weeds out, you know, leave the good crop there and read books. Like I said, I started with Love is Not a Game with Naeem Najib. Then I read Trust is Not a Game. Then I read Communication is Not a Game. And I'm still doing spiritual work every day. I became a student of A Course in Miracles, and A Course in Miracles totally blew my mind. The first time I came across it was maybe about 11 years ago, and I was trying to read it and I couldn't comprehend it, but I had a longing for it because I knew I was like, this is different from what I grew up, you know, hearing. I grew up Christian and in a very strict household, but I also grew up in a single parent household. So I recognized like I was, you know, missing something. And then I also utilized my first marriage as a starter marriage. Like that was my starter marriage to help me understand a whole lot about how life works and how marriages work and interactions between heterosexual male and female. And just looking back, all of the things that I, you know, went through and did in that relationship, like those were my teachers. Those were my lessons. So no, I did not seek professional counseling. And at one point I definitely thought that I needed professional counseling. But now I see like, nah, you're gonna have to, even with a counselor, if they're a good counselor, they're gonna invite you to lean in and do the work yourself. They can't change you. You can change you. So
And
that was the approach that I took.
Hey, we do.
So what was your breaking point? Oh, go ahead, Chuck.
No, go ahead, Jamila. Go ahead.
I'm just for both of you. I don't know if you can hear me, September, but Callie, so what was your breaking point where you said, okay, I'm done with this?
For me?
Divorce.
Callie, so if you can hear me, whoever can hear me.
Divorce, separation.
But what led you to that point? Was it one blow up or one situation or?
No, all of them compacted, you know, as HT says, Burns rule, it's not enough until I've had enough. Like I had enough of the confusion, of the not feeling good, of the anger. And I had finally had enough of trying to change somebody else. Like I was constantly trying to work on him, trying to change him. And, you know, again, love is not a game. And the Course of Miracles, the first thing they teach you is you can't control nothing. Nothing means anything. You know, what somebody else is doing in your projection, your idea of what they're doing is not the truth. Your brother is innocent. You are innocent. Like that was my turning point. Like, oh shoot, you mean to tell? And it was a hard concept to gather, you know, to process for me at first. Like, what you mean? What they did isn't the truth, and it doesn't exist.
Right.
And it's like, no, your mindset, your idea of what you're seeing, that's only your perception. That's your translation. You know, once I really got that, I was like, oh no, I can let this go. Because I've been creating wrong. I've been painting on a wall and creating insanity for myself, and it don't feel good. And that was like one of the things in Love is Not a Game that Naeem always says, like, if it doesn't feel good, just stop.
Yeah. Thank you.
That was my breaking point.
Yeah. What about you, September?
Thank you.
September is yours.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Did you hear? What was your breaking point? Okay.
My breaking point was when I realized, okay, when I started going to college, and it was like I was doing everything on my own is what it felt like, you know. getting up, taking 2 buses back and forth to school, after dropping my kids off at daycare, you know, and he was just sitting at my house, or he would go panhandle, and would tell me like, hey, I'm trying to find a job and this and that. And like, I was the type that had mercy on him. Like, I had mercy, and maybe I should have had too much mercy on him, but that was my breaking point for me, because it was like, I'm doing all this work and you're just sitting around. Like, so then I started to make him leave whenever I would leave to go to school. I'm like, you got to go. And he would linger around or climb through my window and hang in my place, you know, and that for me, that was it. But he didn't want to leave. He would refuse to leave, you know, so that's where that bullying you to be with them comes in at. Yeah. And, you know, a lot of acting out was from that.
That's unfortunate. But we're going to take a commercial break. We're going to come right back, and we're going to wrap it up, and we're going to go through a couple more comments. But here is the A Games, the sponsor of the day. All right, now it's the A Game, great for vitality, energy, strength, and libido. And if you want your free sample, give me a call at 302-723-2836. Again, 302-723-2836 to get your free sample of the A Game. This is for men only, but hopefully we have something for the women available soon. We do have a couple comments I want to get right to. Izzy Meditate says, we have an inner child that seeks the love and affection missed as a child. Sometimes as women, we try to fill that void by finding a significant other. We've also been conditioned to believe that we are completed by having a significant other, when in fact the missing love we are looking for lives in us. Awesome. Thank you, Izzy. Thanks for that. And she said, with that being said, trying to fill that void can leave peers vulnerable and accepting of things that they may not usually accept. Exactly. Thanks for that, Izzy. And Robert Dixon says the comedian Marlon Wayans did an interview with Essence Magazine. He told his mother the reason why he never got married is because he couldn't find a woman like her that represented her. He told her this on her dying bed. Is a very interesting interview. Anybody get time to check it out? He left a lot of open spaces with that. What do you think about that statement?
So. I think it's true. I think I've heard that, but I think a mother bond with her son is so special. You know that, Chuck. It is very, very special with little boys. You know, and as mothers, as single mothers, you know, there's nothing I wouldn't do for my boys or my children, period. So yeah, I can really understand that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I know we're gonna wrap up, but I just have a couple of more quick questions. I want to know from both of you guys, at what point did it get physical? Did it get physical with you, Callie, or was it just mainly control?
There were a few physical moments, and yeah, for me it would be like if we got into an argument or whatever, and he wanted to leave the room. The control freak in me is like, nah, you're not about to leave the room. You're gonna talk to me now. And you know, I followed him, and he was trying to get away, and I think he snatched away, and it ended up getting physical.
Okay. What about you, September?
I would have to say that, like, if I was to try to leave or something, we got in a heated argument, he blocked the door, you know, I'm like, move out the way, you know, or then I would be like, you know what, you can get your stuff and leave. And that's where he would just snap, like he would grab me, like rush up and grab me or something like that. That's usually how the arguments be, like that. So
where were your kids? Were your kids witnessing, the physical
They,
and the arguments? Were they
they would be in the
pretty much
room.
there?
They would be in the room, but a lot of the arguments, I'm pretty sure that they heard. And so that's why I would try to get him to leave. I'd be like, get out. I'm sure my neighbors used to hear us arguing all the time. And I'll be like, get out of my house, get out. You know what I'm saying? Like trying to be a voice for them because they don't need that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where it would be coming from.
Okay.
And my last question, September Rain, how did this lead to homelessness? I know that you were hiding and trying to get away from him. Talk about that a little bit.
So he would make fake pages and contact me like on social media and try to contact me through fake pages or contact someone that I know to ask my whereabouts or what's going on. And I had to make, new accounts constantly due to this. So it was like I literally just had to go ahead and leave, take my kids and go. Have you ever seen that movie Enough with Jennifer Lopez?
Yeah.
Yo, it just reminds me of my situation. Like seriously.
Wow.
It really.
So before we go, I know you're a singer. Can you, I really like your Chuck. I like her voice. I like her tone. It reminds me of Ella May. I want you to sing something for Chuck, a little something. He's a musician here. He's a DJ. He knows more about music than I do.
Yeah,
so
actually, I got
something
right now. I got to get to him like. Yeah.
You got your DJ?
Yeah, I'm all. I DJ. I'm all over the place. But go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, so I love John Legend, so I'm gonna do John Legend. All of Me.
Okay.
Okay, so what would I do without your small mouth? Drawing me in and you kicking me out. Got my head spinning. No kidding, I can't pin you down. What's going on in that beautiful mind? Oh, your magical mystery ride. And I'm so dizzy, don't know what hit me, but I'll be alright. My head's underwater, but I'm breathing fine. You're crazy and I'm out of my mind. 'Cause all of me loves all of you. Love your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections. Give your all to me. Give my all to you. You're my end and my beginning. Even when I lose, I'm with it, 'cause I give you all of me, and you give me all of you. Whoa.
All right.
And I'll just end it there.
Yeah. Thank you. That was so wonderful. Chuck has to go, but I want you guys to come back when Chuck has more time, because to me this was a very important conversation, and you guys entertained us, you enlightened us, and you've educated us on this subject, and I'm so appreciative.
I want to give. They got some comments here. They were. She says, "Thank you, beautiful soul." She says, "Sending love and light your way." Thanks, Izzy Meditates. We got my man Rob. He says, "Jamila and Dr. Feelgood, enjoy your broadcast. Information is power." Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Scott Darling says, "September Rain, man, get your autograph after John Legend opens up for you."
You got it.
Yeah. So great show.
Yeah.
Sharing your story.
Thank you, Callie, for coming by. And you know, you didn't have to do this, but you really just, I mean, it just came together the way God wanted it to come together. And I'm so grateful. September Rain, you know, you're welcome back. And as soon as Chuck put us on his schedule, we can, you know, make some more magic happen.
Whenever you're ready, we can make it happen.
I surely appreciate it. I surely appreciate
Thank you for
it.
having me on here.
Hey, before we go, we got into the conversation so much. You can find us on LinkedIn at Feel Good Talk, Facebook at Feel Good Talk, YouTube at FGT Mind, Body, Soul, and Business, Instagram at Feel.Good-Talk, and you can email us at feelgoodtalk at feelgoodtalk113@gmail.com, and the website is www.feelgoodtalk.net. So a lot of ways to get in contact with us if you need to. So hey, I enjoyed the conversation again. Thanks, ladies. We appreciate you. Callie, so how the Jerry curls coming along over there? Let me stop messing with you because she know I'm messing with her with the you know I'm messing with her, you know, at our shop.
Thank you
know,
for holding this space.
I gotta mess with you, though. That I'm just playing, but I appreciate y'all ladies for coming on. Definitely. So
yes. Couldn't ask for a better show.
Thank you.
So what we do
Thanks
at the end, so absolutely, it's a space of truth, honor. I mean, Chuck, as a man, you totally get it. You know, you got it. You totally get it. I'm so, you know, I'm so proud of you. You know, I'm so proud of you. Yeah. You know, we all got to do the hard work. You know, so. But that being said, so what we do before we leave, Chuck will count to 3, and we always leave with peace. Peace for us, peace for everybody, peace for our audience. So you ready, Chuck?
Yeah, I'm ready. Ready for me? All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Peace.
Come on, Kelly. Come on, y'all. Y'all gotta do this. Come on, don't leave us out here.
It's a delay.